Tonight for dinner, we are making a fall-inspired dish. This is so perfect for this time of year, especially when you've got apple cider out at the grocery stores. We're gonna make an apple cider braised pork. It's so good. Now I'm gonna make a green bean casserole, a homemade green bean casserole to go along with it that you guys are gonna see in my Thanksgiving sides video. So make sure you're subscribed because you do not want to miss this video coming up. It is so good. We're also gonna make a mashed sweet potato that's a little bit sweet, a little bit savory. I mean, this is the meal right here. Okay, before we do anything else, I'm gonna turn the heat onto my very well-loved Dutch oven. This is going on a medium-high heat, and this is a 4.5 pound or so, Boston butt shoulder roast. I believe that's what it said. Now I'd have to pull out the thing out of the trash and look at it, but you know what I'm saying. It's bone in. We need to liberally salt, okay? You need a good amount of salt here, all the way around, all over, salt and pepper. We are gonna add flavor to this thing. Don't be afraid to over season, because this is your opportunity right here to get that seasoning all over. Have some white pepper here that we're gonna add. Y'all, if you wanna talk about flavor, this dish is about to knock your socks off. Let's attempt to turn. All right, friends, here we go. It's time to get this cooking. I'm gonna start fat side down in the Dutch oven, and we want a good sear on that. So this pork needs to sear on all sides for about 4 to 5 minutes. We want a deep, rich brown sear on all sides. So we're gonna give it a few minutes, turn it, do the same thing, repeat over and over. While that's searing, I'm gonna mix up the braising liquid. In this bigger measuring cup here, I have about 2 cups of chicken stock broth, bone broth, goodness. Let's add some Dijon mustard. Okay, about 2 tablespoons of Dijon. And let's mix that together. This pork is gonna be a beast to turn. Okay, so Dijon is getting mixed in. I guess I could have used a whisk, hello. Let me just go for a spatula. And this is fresh apple cider. This is like the good stuff, okay? So get you a good apple cider, 2 cups, mix that together. All right, so there is part of our braising liquid. Let's attempt to turn this thing. Okay, we're getting color. I still want it to be a little darker than that though. So actually, let's leave it because I want it to be a little darker on that side still. I'm also gonna take some rosemary and thyme and just tie those together. And I'm just using the thyme to tie it together, just kind of, but feel free to get some twine or something like that. Now that's more like what I wanna see. As you can see, I've turned it up on its side so we can sear off the side, but oh my goodness, it already looks good. And we're not even close to being done. Also taking a head of garlic, and we're gonna cut off the top opposite the root end. Okay, just like that, so that you see all the garlic there. All right, we're almost there. We've got 2 more sides to sear. I'm gonna sear the end caps as well. I wanted to let you know though, you can make this in the crock pot. So if you don't wanna do the oven method like me, then you can make it in the crock pot. Now, my oven is preheating right now to 325 degrees because this is more of like a 3 to 4 hour oven process. If you wanna do this in the crock pot, you're gonna cook it on high for 5 to 6 hours or low for 7 to 9 hours, but don't skip the searing process. Sear it, then put it into the crock pot. So for me, it's actually gonna get done faster in the oven, and it is 2:44. I didn't realize it was that late. So we need to actually get this in the oven pretty quickly here. I'm really good with the sear that we have right now. So let's take this stuff over because it's gonna get added. So put in the herbs. I'm actually just gonna drop in the, what's that called? Garlic. Pour over all of that liquid. The lid is gonna go onto this, and like I said, it's gonna cook in a 325-degree oven for about 3 hours. We're gonna turn it halfway through though. The halfway through timer just went off, so 90-minute timer just went off. I'm gonna pull this out of the oven, we're gonna turn it, and then put it back in for another 90 minutes. All right, let's flip this carefully somehow. Okay, turning, good, good. All right, I think we're good. Lid back on, and another 90 minutes. All right, my beef has about 20 minutes left in this step. It's still gonna go back in for another 30 minutes. We need to prep the apples and the onion. I'm gonna have to wash this. I'm gonna peel the apple and then cut it into slices. Cut the apple into slices. Let me get out the middle here. That was almost my life. I'm also gonna cut the onion into large pieces. I guess we need this whole thing. It seems like a lot, but I don't know. I don't feel like we need the whole thing. I'm not gonna use the whole thing. We're gonna use about that much. Okay, so 15 or so more minutes, and then we're gonna take that out, put the onions and the apples around it, and it's gonna go back in. We are gonna make some brown butter mashed sweet potatoes. I've peeled about 3 pounds of sweet potato. Now we need to cut it. I'm gonna cut these into cubes and put them into this pot right here. Did I wash my other knife? I don't like this one. I really don't like this one. Are you guys like that? Are you knife particular? Because I definitely am. So we're just making cubes. It's gonna go straight into this pot here. I am a big fan of sweet potato. Like, I think they're delicious. Anyway, always. I personally like to just bake them, throw some brown sugar and butter on them. I think that is so good. But brown butter, listen friend, if you have not made brown butter to go with anything at this point, you are seriously missing out because it's truly game changing. I bought an immersion blender, immersion blender. And I used it the other day to make homemade mayo, which I will never buy mayo again, ever. It's so much better. I went and bought a bunch of tomatoes the other day because I really want to make a tomato soup and serve it with a fresh grilled cheese on sourdough. So I made sourdough the other night, and it is the best sourdough I've ever made. I don't know why it turned out better than all the other times, but I keep looking at these tomatoes over here going, I really need to make that before the tomatoes aren't good anymore. All right, let's add some water into this pot. Cover those cover those sweet potatoes with water. And then we're gonna take it over to the stove, and we need to boil these up. All right, let's get this water boiling. We do need to add a good amount of salt to this water while these are boiling. So make sure it's a decent amount. Potatoes are done and fully cooked. Let's strain those, or strain them. And then I'm gonna put them back into this pot because that's where we're gonna mix them. Before we finish up these sweet potatoes, we need to get the onions and the apples added in to the pork. The pork's coming out of the oven. Let's add all of that in, and then it's gonna go back into the oven and really let all of that work together. So all of the apples, onions, all those flavors with the garlic and that amazing broth that we added in there. And then while this is in the oven, we can continue on. That pork is gonna be in the oven for about 30 more minutes, then we'll take it out and just let it rest before we serve it. I need to finish prepping the ingredients for these mashed sweet potatoes, so I have about a half cup of milk here. It's whole milk, 3 tablespoons of butter. We've got some maple syrup that I'm just gonna add to this little thing so that we can take it over to the stovetop and it's already measured out to what we need. Let's do about 2 tablespoons. You could go up to 3, but we like ours a little less sweet. About a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. I'm also gonna add in some salt with that cinnamon, salt and pepper to taste. So just over here on the side, maybe like a 1/2 teaspoon or so. And then I need to very finely chop up some rosemary. Why do I lose words so often? Like very finely. Unless you have one of those cool, there's like little devices that do this kind of stuff for you. 2 teaspoons. Okay, right here into this little thing here. And then you can add pecans to the top of this too. I think I'll chop up a few, maybe just for garnish. I don't know that everyone will want pecans, but we have a few available. I would suggest a light toast on these. So what I'm probably gonna do, we're gonna brown up the butter in just a minute here. And then once I pull the butter out of that pan, I'll just toast these in that same pan for just, 1 to 2 minutes. It doesn't take long at all. Okay, so let's head over to the stovetop because I wanna finish up these mashed sweet potatoes. The first thing I wanna do is get this pan hot on maybe like a medium heat, and we're gonna put in the 3 tablespoons of butter, and that's just gonna melt down, and then we'll whisk it until it gets nice brown bits at the bottom. So this just takes a couple of minutes. You do have to babysit a little bit, but I promise you it will be worth it, okay? So you're just letting the butter melt, and then it's gonna bubble a little bit. You're gonna get like a little bit of a bubbliness. We turn up to medium high just so we get that moving along. And then right after the bubble, as the bubbles kind of start to, it gets frothy, I guess I should say. It's frothy, and then you'll start to see little brown flecks at the bottom, and that is when you want to pull it off the heat. So you can see, look at the frothiness happening here. You can see the white over the top. That's a good sign. That's what we want. Frothiness, frothiness. That's what we want. Make sure your heat doesn't get too high. You don't want burnt butter, you just want brown butter. Do you see the brown? Do you see the brown flecks? This is what you're looking for. Once you start to see those brown flecks, you got like 30 seconds left, and then you can pull it from the heat. So for just a second, I'm gonna turn my heat off, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this brown butter and just reserve, because I would like to use a touch of it for drizzling over the top of the mashed sweet potatoes. The rest of it, now we can turn our heat back on to a medium. Pour the rest of that brown butter into the sweet potatoes that are back in this bowl. Now we'll add in the milk, right around a 1/2 cup, the maple syrup, a couple of tablespoons. Add in the cinnamon and salt and the rosemary. And we're just gonna mash all of this together. It should mash pretty easily. They'll heat back through with this medium heat on, which is awesome. That's what I want. I might pull out the immersion blender and just see if we can get like a really, really silky mash. I don't know if it'll even be worth it, but maybe it's worth a shot. All right, so other than what we'll do in serving, this is done. I do feel like that immersion blender helped. I'm gonna keep this on low until we're ready to serve. It is on the lowest temperature available just to keep it nice and hot. I forgot that I said I was gonna use this pan and toast up these pecans really quick. So let me just do that. Just a little bit, give them a little bit of toast. I'm on a medium heat right now. We've got that leftover butter that was in there already from the brown butter. So I didn't add anything to the pan at all. And this takes like 1 to 2 minutes. All right, the pork is now done. I'm gonna take it out. Okay, set it here. And let's uncover. Oh my goodness, y'all. Y'all, just don't touch. Okay, now the next step might get a little tricky here, but we're gonna take this garlic out, and all you do, well, I'm gonna try. You squeeze out the garlic, like so. Now these garlic cloves are nice and soft. They're not gonna have that raw garlic taste at all. So I'm just gonna kind of toss that just a little bit so that garlic will infuse this sauce, because you know we're gonna be drizzling some of that over the top for serving.
Oh.
Full on fall meal here. Do I need to move that?
It is a
Yes.
fall meal
Fall meal for sure.
and fall day. It's 61 degrees
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
and it's been raining since noon probably.
Yeah. So the green bean casserole, you're gonna see in a Thanksgiving sides video. So I'm not giving you the recipe in this one.
Oh,
You're
okay.
seeing it on the plate though. So stay tuned. You need to be subscribed to my channel because you don't wanna miss recipes like this that are coming up for the fall in general. And also I will say, subscribe on my website.
Yeah.
Go to feedingthebirds.com. Make sure that you go to the bottom of the page where it says, click here if you want to get my newsletter, or it's like 5 free recipes or something. I'm going to be communicating with you guys so much more through that to make sure you're not missing things. I'm sharing things over there that I love. So make sure you go to feedingthebirds.com to sign up for that. So we've got apple cider pork. This is a Boston butt shoulder roast.
How long did it cook?
It was about 4 hours overall. So 3 hours, and then took it out 30 minutes more, and then it's been sitting over there. You're supposed to just let it rest for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yep. All right. So I'm telling you, it is the best if you get a little bit, yeah, it's falling apart. It's the best if you get a little bite of the garlic. It's hard to find in there though, but the little garlic as it kind of mushed together is so good.
Onion alert.
Yeah, they're onions. They're onions and apples. Ready? I think I just dropped some. It's so good. It's so good, y'all.
It looks and tastes like fall.
Straight up. But it is falling apart. Wow. I need to take the camera over there and show you guys how much it is just completely falling apart. It's so good. I can't even stop.
And just like that glisten from the moisture.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, it's coming.
It's not gonna happen. Oh, look. Oh no!
Well, the dog will enjoy.
Polly, where are you at?
Outside.
She's gonna love it.
Are you sharing this recipe on this one?
Yeah. Okay, so this is the mashed sweet potato with brown butter sauce. So it's brown butter, milk, some rosemary. It's like a savory, but also sweet. It's very interesting. I think it's really good because the rosemary stands out, in my opinion. And then obviously brown butter. We love brown butter. Yeah. And the rosemary is so fine, but that's such a potent flavor. I love this one. And my son actually has been sneaking bites for quite a while over there at the stovetop.
He was just licking the spatula right after he saw me do it.
It's really good though. Okay, so like I said, you'll see the taste test for the green bean casserole. If you stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. Hit that red subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss anything. This remote is not working very well anymore. Come on. That way.
Over.
Yep.
That
Yep. Mm-hmm. Our verse today comes from Romans 15:5. May the God who gives endurance and encouragement give you the same attitude of mind toward each other that Christ Jesus had. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, I'd love if you would subscribe and stick around, but also check out the video that I have listed right above here. It's such a good one, such good recipes, some of our favorites. Don't miss it. I hope you're having a great week.